She was just a little girl on her first flight, clutching her stuffed rabbit and gazing out at the clouds. But when disaster struck and 275 lives hung in the balance, she became the unlikeliest of heroes. What she did next shocked everyone and made history. Make sure to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any inspiring stories I share. At 7 years old, Lily Bradford was bursting with excitement. For months, she had been counting down to this day, her very first airplane ride. She and her mom, Clara, were heading to San Diego to visit Lily's grandparents, and Lily could hardly contain her enthusiasm. Every little detail of the trip felt like an adventure waiting to unfold. The airport buzzed with activity. Travelers hurried by with rolling suitcases, announcements echoed from the loudspeakers, and the smell of freshly brewed coffee lingered in the air. To Lily, it all felt magical, like stepping into a new world. She skipped alongside Clara, clutching her sunflower-printed suitcase in one hand and her beloved stuffed rabbit, Bun Bun, in the other. Her bright yellow sweater, adorned with a cheerful sun design, seemed to reflect her boundless energy. "Mommy, how do planes stay in the air? Do they flap their wings like birds?" Lily asked, her green eyes wide with curiosity. Clara chuckled, adjusting her grip on her matching sunflower suitcase. "Not exactly like birds, sweetheart. Planes have powerful engines that push them forward really fast, and their wings are specially shaped to lift them up. You'll see, it's like magic." Lily giggled, imagining herself as a pilot someday, soaring through the sky in her very own plane. "Maybe I'll fly planes when I grow up. I'd wear a cool uniform and a hat like Captain America, but for flying." "You'd be an amazing pilot," Clara said with a smile. "You're already so brave." As they reached their gate, Lily froze in awe at the sight of the massive plane parked outside the window. Its sleek white body and towering wings looked almost too big to move. "Mommy, is that really our plane? It's huge! Does it even fit in the sky?" Clara laughed. "It sure does, and it's going to take us right over the clouds. Isn't that exciting?" Lily nodded vigorously, gripping Bun Bun tightly as they made their way onto the plane. The flight attendants greeted them with warm smiles, and Clara helped Lily find their seats by the window. As Lily climbed in, she gasped with delight at the view outside. Her little fingers pressed against the cool glass as she tried to take in every detail of the bustling runway. "Look at all those planes! They're like giant birds waiting to fly," she exclaimed. When the engines roared to life, Lily's eyes widened. The vibrations under her seat made her giggle nervously. "It's so loud, Mommy. Is it supposed to sound like that?" "It is," Clara reassured her, holding her hand. "That's the sound of us getting ready for takeoff. Hold on, it's going to feel like we're going really fast for a little bit." And fast they went. Lily's heart raced as the plane sped down the runway, the world outside blurring. Then, with a sudden, exhilarating lift, they were in the air. Lily squealed with delight, watching as the ground grew smaller and smaller. Buildings turned into tiny blocks, and cars became specks as they soared higher. "Mommy, we're flying! We're really flying," she cried, her nose pressed against the window. "Look at the clouds, they're like fluffy marshmallows." Clara chuckled, leaning over to share the view. "They do look like marshmallows, don't they? See that one? It looks like a dragon." Lily squinted, tilting her head. "I see it! And over there, that one looks like Bun Bun." As the plane leveled out, the world outside turned into a peaceful sea of white clouds, stretching as far as the eye could see. Lily alternated between looking out the window and flipping through the in-flight magazine, marveling at pictures of exotic destinations. She pointed out a photo of a beach with clear turquoise water. "Mommy, can we go there someday? It looks like a place where mermaids live." "We'll see," Clara said, her voice warm. But for now, we're on an adventure to see Grandma and Grandpa. Lily settled into her seat, happily nibbling on the snacks handed out by the flight attendants. She even found a small puzzle in the magazine to solve, her tongue poking out as she concentrated. The hours passed in peaceful exploration as Lily soaked in every moment of her first flight. At one point, a flight attendant stopped by with a pin shaped like a pair of golden wings. "This is for first-time flyers," she said with a smile, pinning it to Lily's sweater. "You're officially a junior aviator now." Lily beamed with pride, running her fingers over the pin. "Look, Mommy! I'm a real aviator." "You sure are, my love," Clara said, taking a photo of her daughter's proud smile. "Grandma and Grandpa will love seeing this picture." As the sun began to set, painting the clouds in warm hues of orange and pink, Lily leaned her head on Clara's shoulder. "Mommy, this is the best day ever," she whispered, clutching Bun Bun close. Clara kissed her forehead gently. "I'm so glad you're having fun, my love." Little did they know, the journey that had started so beautifully was about to take a turn no one could have anticipated. The first half of the flight passed like a dream. Lily couldn't get enough of the sights and sounds of the airplane. She had even made friends with the passengers seated behind her, an older couple who shared stories of their travels around the world. Lily listened wide-eyed, occasionally turning to Clara to share the excitement of their tales. "Did you know there are penguins in South America?" Lily asked Clara, her voice full of wonder. "Not just at the North Pole." "That's right," Clara said, smiling. "Maybe someday we can visit them." Lily's imagination soared alongside the plane as she thought about all the places she could go. For now, though, she was perfectly content watching the patchwork of fields below disappear beneath a blanket of fluffy clouds. The world seemed so big, and she felt so small, but not in a bad way. It was all part of the adventure. But then, as the plane cruised high above the clouds, the captain's voice came over the intercom. "Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking. We've encountered a bit of unexpected weather ahead. Please fasten your seatbelts. This should only last a short while." The calm reassurance in his voice didn't do much to ease the knot forming in Clara's stomach. She reached over and buckled Lily's seatbelt, double-checking it was secure. "It's just a little turbulence," she said, trying to sound confident. "Planes are built for this." "What's turbulence, Mommy?" Lily asked, her curiosity outweighing her concern. "It's when the plane shakes a bit because of the air currents. It's like driving over a bumpy road, but up here in the sky," Clara explained. "It might feel strange, but it's nothing to worry about." Lily nodded, though her grip on Bun Bun tightened. "Like a roller coaster?" Clara forced a smile. "Exactly. Just like a roller coaster." As if on cue, the plane began to shudder. It started as a gentle vibration, like a car engine idling. But then, the shaking grew stronger. Drinks wobbled on trays, and passengers gasped as the plane jolted suddenly to the left. The fasten seatbelt sign dinged overhead, and the cabin crew hurried down the aisles, ensuring everyone was secure. "Ladies and gentlemen, we are experiencing some turbulence," the captain's voice returned, slightly more strained this time. "Please remain seated with your seatbelts fastened." "Thank you." The clouds outside grew darker, and lightning flickered in the distance, casting eerie shadows inside the cabin. The once cheerful hum of conversation among passengers gave way to murmurs of concern. Lily pressed her face to the window, her earlier wonder replaced by a nervous frown. "Mommy, it's really bumpy now," she whispered, her small voice trembling. Clara held her hand tightly. "It's okay, honey. Just keep holding Bun Bun and stay buckled. I'm right here." Suddenly, a blinding flash of lightning illuminated the cabin, followed by an earth-shaking crack of thunder. The plane lurched violently, sending trays and loose items tumbling to the floor. Gasps and cries erupted from the passengers. The overhead lights flickered once, twice, then went out completely, leaving only the dim emergency lights to bathe the cabin in a ghostly glow. "Mommy!" Lily cried, clutching Clara's arm with all her strength. "What's happening?" Before Clara could respond, the oxygen masks dropped from above with a mechanical hiss. A collective gasp filled the cabin as passengers fumbled to grab the dangling masks. Clara wasted no time, pulling Lily's mask over her small face before securing her own. "Breathe, Lily. Just breathe." The captain's voice crackled over the intercom again, this time with a tone that betrayed the gravity of the situation. "Ladies and gentlemen, we've been struck by lightning and have lost primary systems. We're working to regain control. Please stay calm and follow the instructions of the crew." Lily's wide green eyes filled with tears as she looked at Clara. "Are we going to fall?" she asked, her voice barely audible. "No, sweetheart," Clara said firmly, even as her own hands trembled. "The pilots know what they're doing. We're going to be okay." Around them, the scene was chaotic. Flight attendants moved swiftly, securing loose items and reassuring passengers. Some people were praying, their hands clasped tightly as they murmured in different languages. Others wept openly, clutching their loved ones as if holding on would keep them safe. The plane shuddered again, this time with a sickening downward lurch that made Lily feel like her stomach was floating. She gripped Bun Bun tighter than ever, her knuckles white. "I don't like this, Mommy," she whimpered. Clara wrapped an arm around her, holding her close. "I know, baby. I know. Just keep breathing. I'm right here." Up in the cockpit, the situation was dire. The lightning strike had knocked out key instruments, leaving the pilots to rely on their training and instincts. The co-pilot, Captain Simmons, flipped through the emergency procedures manual, his mind racing. "We still have backup systems," he said, his voice steady despite the tension in his eyes. "If we can reconnect the control cables in the maintenance compartment, we might be able to regain partial control." The pilot frowned, his hands gripping the controls tightly. "That compartment's access shaft is too narrow. None of us could fit through there." Simmons hesitated, his gaze flicking to the schematic of the plane. "But a child could." In the dimly lit cabin, fear hung in the air like a thick fog. Passengers whispered prayers, some clutching loved ones while others simply sat frozen in their seats. The crew moved with urgency, but even their usually calm demeanor hinted at the gravity of the situation. Up in the cockpit, Captain Simmons and the pilot pored over the plane's schematic. "The maintenance compartment is right here," Simmons said, tapping the diagram. "The problem is accessing it. The shaft is narrow, designed for emergencies, but not for an adult to navigate." The pilot shook his head, frustration evident. "We can't ask a passenger to risk this. It's dangerous." Simmons looked at the schematic again, his mind racing. "A child might be able to fit. It's a long shot, but if we don't restore those systems, we won't have another chance." Back in the cabin, Clara sat with Lily, who was clutching Bun Bun tightly to her chest. The little girl's face was pale, her earlier excitement replaced by a quiet fear. "Mommy," she whispered, "are we going to be okay?" Clara forced a smile, brushing back Lily's curls. "Of course, sweetheart. Planes are built for all kinds of things." A voice interrupted her thoughts. It was the lead flight attendant, standing nearby with a determined expression. "Ma'am, we need to ask for your help." Clara's heart skipped a beat. "My help? What can I do?" The attendant knelt beside them, speaking softly but firmly. The co-pilot has a plan to restore the plane's systems, but it requires someone small enough to fit into a maintenance compartment. It's risky, but your daughter might be our only hope. Clara's breath caught in her throat. You want Lily to help? She's just a child. I know, the attendant said, her voice cracking slightly. We wouldn't ask if it weren't absolutely necessary. She'd be guided every step of the way by the co-pilot through a headset. The crew will prepare her and make sure she's secure. But we need your consent. Clara's mind raced. Fear clawed at her, but she couldn't ignore the gravity of the situation. She glanced at Lily, who was watching the exchange with wide, curious eyes. What would she have to do? She would need to crawl through the compartment and reconnect some control cables, the attendant explained. It's not far, but it's a tight space. We'll harness her for safety. Lily tugged at Clara's sleeve. Mommy, can I help? I want to be brave. Tears filled Clara's eyes as she held her daughter's face in her hands. Sweetheart, this is a big decision. It's very dangerous. But I can do it, Lily said, her small voice filled with determination. I can help, like a hero. Clara searched her daughter's face, seeing a courage she hadn't expected in someone so young. With a deep breath, she nodded. Okay. But you have to promise me you'll listen to every single instruction. No matter what. I promise, Lily said, clutching Bun Bun tightly. Within minutes, the crew prepared Lily for the task. They fitted her with a harness, a small flashlight, and a headset to communicate with Captain Simmons. Clara stayed by her side, whispering reassurances. You're so brave, my love. I'll be right here when you come back. A flight attendant knelt down to Lily's level. You're going to be amazing, kiddo. Just follow the captain's instructions, and you'll do great. Captain Simmons' voice crackled through the headset. Lily, can you hear me? Yes, she replied, her voice small but steady. Good. I'm going to guide you through this step by step. Just remember to take your time and stay calm. You've got this. The maintenance hatch was opened, revealing a narrow, dark passage. Lily took a deep breath, clutching the flashlight in one hand and Bun Bun in the other. She gave Clara one last hug before crawling into the compartment. The space was cold and cramped, the walls lined with wires and metal panels. The hum of the engines sounded distant now, and the weight of the task ahead pressed heavily on Lily's small shoulders. Okay, Lily, Simmons said gently. Can you see the blue wire in front of you? Lily shone the flashlight ahead, spotting the wire. I see it. Good. Now carefully plug it into the blue slot. Take your time. Her small fingers trembled as she reached for the cable. The space was tight, and the flashlight wobbled as she worked. After a moment, she managed to connect the wire. It's in, she said, her voice quavering. You're doing great, Lily, Simmons said. Now look for the red wire. It should be just above the blue one. As Lily worked, the tension in the cabin was palpable. Clara sat on the floor near the hatch, her hands clasped tightly as she whispered prayers. Around her, passengers murmured words of encouragement. You can do it, Lily, someone said softly. The minutes stretched on as Lily continued to follow Simmons' instructions. Each wire she connected brought them one step closer to safety, but the effort was exhausting. Sweat dripped down her face, and tears welled in her eyes, but she pushed forward, fueled by the thought of helping everyone on board. You're almost there, Simmons said. The last wire is green. It goes in the green slot. Lily paused, taking a deep breath. Her hands were shaking, and her heart pounded in her chest. She closed her eyes for a moment, clutching Bun Bun tightly, then reached for the final wire. With a steady hand, she connected it. "Done," she whispered. The cabin lights flickered back to life. Cheers erupted from the passengers as the instruments on the flight deck hummed, signaling the restoration of power. In the cockpit, the pilots exchanged relieved glances, quickly regaining control of the plane. Lily crawled back through the compartment, emerging to the sound of applause and cheers. Clara scooped her into her arms, holding her tightly as tears streamed down her face. "You did it, my brave girl," she whispered. The captain's voice came over the intercom, thick with emotion. "Ladies and gentlemen, thanks to the extraordinary bravery of a young girl, we've regained control of the aircraft. We'll be landing safely shortly." "Thank you, Lily." The plane flew steadily now, but the tension in the cabin remained as thick as the storm clouds outside. Though the aircraft systems were restored, the passengers were acutely aware of how close they had come to disaster. Whispers of relief and murmured prayers filled the air, but all eyes kept drifting toward Lily and Clara. Lily, nestled in Clara's lap, was the focus of everyone's admiration. Her small body trembled, exhausted from the ordeal, but her face glowed with a quiet pride. She clutched Bun Bun tightly, the stuffed rabbit now a symbol of her bravery. Clara held her daughter close, stroking her hair softly as if grounding both of them in the moment. "You were incredible," Clara whispered, her voice breaking with emotion. "My brave, brave girl." Lily managed a small smile, looking up at her mother. "I was scared, Mommy. But I just kept thinking about everyone on the plane. I wanted to help. And you did. You saved us all," Clara said, kissing her forehead. Passengers nearby began applauding softly, their faces filled with gratitude. One elderly man leaned over and patted Lily's shoulder. "You're a hero, young lady," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "I've flown 1,000 times, but I've never met anyone as brave as you." Lily's cheeks flushed as she buried her face against Clara's chest. "I didn't do it alone. The captain told me what to do." "But you listened even when it was scary," Clara reminded her. "That's what being brave is all about." Meanwhile, the flight attendants moved quickly through the cabin, handing out water and checking on passengers. One stopped at Lily's seat with a warm smile and a small packet of cookies. "These are for you, Lily," she said softly. "Our hero deserves a treat." Lily hesitated, then took the cookies with a shy smile. "Thank you." Another flight attendant leaned in toward Clara. "We're preparing for an emergency landing," she said in a hushed tone. "The storm is still rough, but the pilots believe we can get through it safely. You might want to keep her close." Clara nodded, her stomach tightening. Though the immediate danger had passed, the landing would be critical. She squeezed Lily's hand gently. "Sweetheart, we're going to land soon. It might be a little bumpy, but the pilots are doing everything they can to keep us safe." "Okay, Mommy," Lily said, gripping Bun Bun. "I'm ready." Passengers around them offered smiles and nods of encouragement. The woman across the aisle, who had been silent through most of the flight, finally spoke. "You're the reason we're going to make it home tonight," she said, her voice trembling. "I'll never forget what you did for us." Lily blinked back tears and nodded. "I just wanted to help." As the captain announced the descent, the cabin grew quiet. The hum of the engines was the only sound as passengers braced themselves. Outside, the storm raged on, lightning illuminating the dark clouds and casting eerie flashes across the windows. In the cockpit, Captain Simmons and the pilot worked with meticulous precision. "We've stabilized the systems, but visibility is near zero," Simmons reported, scanning the instruments. "We'll need to rely on the runway's lights and instruments to guide us in." Landing gear is operational, and we've got the approach locked in, the pilot replied. His voice was calm, but his knuckles were white on the controls. This isn't going to be smooth, but we'll get them down. The turbulence returned with a vengeance as the plane began its descent. Inside the cabin, passengers gripped their armrests, their faces pale. Clara held Lily tightly, whispering reassurances. "Mommy, is this the last bump?" Lily asked, her voice barely audible over the sound of the engines. Clara hesitated, then nodded. "Yes, sweetheart. This is the last bump. Just hold on tight." The plane shuddered violently, causing a collective gasp. Drinks spilled, and luggage shifted in the overhead compartments. A few passengers cried out, but the crew maintained their composure, moving quickly to secure loose items. Through the window, the faint glow of the runway lights came into view, blurred by the driving rain. Every passenger seemed to hold their breath as the plane descended lower and lower, the storm pushing against it with relentless force. With a final, heart-stopping jolt, the plane hit the runway. The tires screeched against the slick surface, and the aircraft bounced slightly before settling into a steady roll. The engines roared as the brakes engaged, slowing the massive machine to a crawl. The cabin erupted in applause and cheers as the realization sank in, they had made it. Strangers hugged each other, tears streaming down their faces. Clara wrapped both arms around Lily, her own tears falling freely. "We're safe, my love. We're safe." Lily looked up at her mother, her expression a mix of relief and exhaustion. "We're really okay?" "Yes," Clara said, kissing her forehead. "We're really okay. And it's all thanks to you." Lily smiled faintly, clutching Bun Bun close. "I'm glad." As the plane taxied to the terminal, emergency vehicles surrounded it, their flashing lights reflecting off the rain-slicked tarmac. Dozens of airport personnel stood ready, some holding umbrellas against the rain while others guided equipment to assist the plane. But what caught Lily's attention wasn't the flashing lights or the firefighters, it was the crowd beyond the terminal doors. Reporters, cameras, and onlookers had gathered, their faces pressed against the glass. Even from her seat, Lily could hear the faint hum of voices waiting to greet her. "Mommy, there are so many people," Lily said, her voice a mix of wonder and apprehension. "I know, sweetie," Clara said, squeezing her hand. "They're here to celebrate what you did. But if it's too much, you don't have to talk to anyone. We'll go straight to Grandma and Grandpa." Lily hesitated. "I think I want to say thank you." Clara's heart ached with pride. "That's my brave girl." As they stepped off the plane, a gust of cool, damp air hit them. Clara shielded Lily with her jacket as they descended the staircase to the tarmac. The moment their feet touched the ground, the applause started again, this time from the assembled airport staff and emergency responders. Reporters called out questions, their cameras flashing rapidly. "Lily, how did you stay so brave? What was it like saving the plane? Do you know you're a hero?" Lily clung to Clara's hand, her eyes wide at the overwhelming attention. Clara crouched down, her voice soothing. "Just take your time, sweetheart. You can say as little or as much as you want." After a moment's hesitation, Lily took a deep breath and faced the crowd. "I just wanted to help," she said, her small voice carrying over the rain-soaked tarmac. "Thank you for being so nice to me and my mommy." The reporters erupted with more questions, but Lily turned to Clara, her message delivered. "Can we go see Grandma now?" she asked quietly. "Of course," Clara said, wrapping her arms around her daughter. Inside the terminal, passengers lingered, some exchanging phone numbers, others hugging and promising to keep in touch. Many approached Clara and Lily one last time, offering thanks and sharing how deeply the experience had affected them. "She gave me hope," one man said. If a little girl can be that brave, so can I. Lily didn't fully understand the impact of her actions yet, but Clara knew this moment would shape her daughter's life, and perhaps the lives of everyone on that plane. The story of Flight 742 became the subject of books, documentaries, and countless interviews. Lily Bradford, now grown, often reflected on that fateful day. She never saw herself as a hero, just a girl who wanted to help. But for the hundreds of lives she saved, Lily would always be more than just a little girl with a stuffed rabbit. She was a symbol of courage, proof that even the smallest among us can make the biggest difference when it matters most. The warm lights of the terminal illuminated the faces of passengers as they stepped inside. Relief hung in the air like a gentle breeze, the tension of the harrowing flight slowly giving way to the joy of survival. Every face told a story of fear, gratitude, and disbelief that they had made it safely to the ground. Clara carried Lily in her arms, her daughter's small head resting on her shoulder. Lily was half asleep, her tiny body drained from the events of the day. Bun Bun dangled from her hand, its soft fur worn from the tight grip she had kept on it throughout the flight. Around them, passengers exchanged hugs and phone numbers, promising to stay in touch. Many had formed connections during the ordeal, their shared experience creating bonds that transcended the usual anonymity of air travel. A few stopped to shake Clara's hand or to offer Lily quiet words of thanks. "You have an extraordinary daughter," one woman said, her voice thick with emotion. "She's given us all something to believe in." Clara smiled softly, tears welling in her eyes. "She's always been extraordinary, but today, I think she surprised even herself." At the gate, the airline's ground staff waited to meet the passengers. A senior manager approached Clara with a bouquet of flowers. "Mrs. Bradford, on behalf of the airline, we want to thank you and your daughter for your bravery. You've both been through so much, and we're just so grateful to have you here safely." Clara accepted the flowers, her voice trembling. "Thank you. But it was Lily who saved us all." The manager crouched down to Lily's level. "Miss Lily, you're a true hero. You showed the kind of courage most people can only dream of. We're honored to have had you on our flight." Lily stirred, her eyes fluttering open. She blinked at the man, her voice soft. "Did everyone make it home?" "Yes, sweetheart," the manager replied. "Thanks to you, everyone is safe." Lily smiled faintly, her grip on Bun Bun tightening. "That's good." As the passengers began to disperse, reporters approached, eager to capture the story. Cameras flashed, and microphones were thrust forward. Clara shielded Lily from the overwhelming attention, gently guiding her toward a quieter corner of the terminal. But before they could leave, a reporter called out, "Lily, what made you so brave?" Lily paused, her tired eyes meeting Clara's. Clara nodded encouragingly, and Lily turned to face the reporter. "I just wanted to help," she said simply. "The captain told me what to do, and I listened." Her words, so pure and unassuming, captured the hearts of everyone present. The reporter smiled, jotting down her response. "You did more than help, Lily. You inspired everyone." As Lily leaned back into Clara's arms, the buzz of the terminal faded into the background. For her, the day had been about something far simpler than heroism. It had been about doing what was right. Not long after, a familiar voice called out through the crowd. "Clara! Lily!" Clara turned, her face lighting up as her parents rushed toward them. Lily's grandparents enveloped them in a warm embrace, their tears mingling with laughter. "Oh, thank God you're safe," Clara's mother said, her hands trembling as she cupped Lily's face. "You've been so brave, my sweet girl." Lily smiled, leaning into her grandmother's hug. "I was a little scared, but Mommy stayed with me the whole time." "And we couldn't be prouder of both of you," her grandfather added, his voice choked with emotion. "You've given us the greatest gift, bringing you both home safely." The reunion was a balm for their weary hearts, a reminder that even after the stormiest of skies, there was always a place of warmth and love waiting. In the days that followed, news of Lily's bravery spread worldwide. Headlines proclaimed her a hero, and interviews poured in from major networks. Clara carefully managed the attention, shielding Lily from the more intense media frenzy while allowing her to share her story on her own terms. One interview, in particular, stood out. A journalist asked Lily, "What does it feel like to know you saved so many lives?" Lily hesitated, clutching Bun Bun as she considered her answer. "It feels good," she said finally. "But I didn't do it to be a hero. I just wanted to help my mommy and all the people on the plane." Her humility struck a chord with viewers around the globe. Messages of admiration flooded in, from children inspired by her courage to adults who found hope in her actions. The airline awarded Lily and Clara free flights for life, but Clara knew that the true reward was far greater than anything material. "She doesn't see herself the way the world sees her," Clara said during one interview. "To Lily, she just did what needed to be done. And that's what makes her so special." Life eventually returned to a semblance of normalcy. Lily went back to school, where her classmates greeted her with cheers and handmade cards. Bun Bun remained a constant companion, its worn ears a reminder of the incredible journey they had been through together. For Clara, the experience deepened her appreciation for her daughter's resilience and the kindness of strangers. She kept in touch with several passengers from the flight, their shared experience forging friendships that felt more like family ties. Years later, when asked about that fateful day, Lily would always smile modestly. "I just did what anyone would do," she would say. But those who knew her story understood that what she had done was far from ordinary.